Once again for joining us. My name is Mariambo and I'll be taking you through the news this morning, and we begin in Kerio Valley, where the death toll following the mudslides in Chesongoch, Elgeyo Marakwet County has risen to 26. This is after retrieval of 4 more bodies on Sunday in the ongoing search for missing persons. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen says 25 people are still missing, 21 others are still hospitalized in various hospitals, including the Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital. 4 of them are in critical condition. Giverson Maina now brings us details of that story.
A multi-agency team comprising the military, police, disaster management center and humanitarian emergency organizations, including the Kenya Red Cross, have sustained operations in Chesongoch, Elgeyo Marakwet County in the search for 25 persons who are still missing.
Kwa wale ambao bado hawajapatikana 25, of course tuko na wasiwasi sana kwamba wanaweza kuwa wako kwa njia ya hatari.
Assuring the government support, Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen, who is leading the rescue team on the ground, said the affected community is yet to come to terms with the reality of the tragedy.
Familia moja, kuna familia karibu watu 7 wamepoteza watu 7 safari moja. Hii sio janga ambayo ni kitu rahisi, ni chungu sana.
For those who have been injured, the government of Kenya is going to pay all the hospital bills. For those who have lost their lives, the families who are grieving, the government of Kenya is going to stand with all these families who are grieving at the moment.
According to the Kenya Red Cross, access to affected areas remains a challenge. This necessitating the use of an aerial search through drones and choppers.
In as much as, yes, we are in a response situation, we want to look at long-term measures, and we are going to engage the communities further to ensure that they are moving to safer grounds and avoiding farming on those highlands.
Tumeanza hii kasta moja na tumepata mwili moja na bado tunaendelea mpaka jioni tuone vile itakuwa.
Nasikia ilikuwa 1961, 64 years. Mwaka 64 zilizopita ambao janga kama hili lilifanyika.
Currently, displaced families are hosted at Chesongoch Primary School, where they are receiving humanitarian aid in terms of medical supplies, foodstuffs, clothing and shelter. Governor Stephen Sang of Nandi, Jonathan B. of Uasin-Gishu, Wesley Rotich of Elgeyo Marakwet, and National Treasury PS Chris Kipto are among leaders mobilizing help for the affected population.
This place is still inaccessible, so we have machines, yes, which came from Uasin-Gishu, Kenya, Kura. We want to try and see if we can, at least one road can be passable to the scene.
Mimi nataka kuomba nikiwa chairman ya region hii kazi tusaidiane mpaka hii maisha ya watu irudi normal.
And I think most important is to ensure that we deepen our efforts to conserve the environment.
Meanwhile, those living in areas prone to landslides have been urged to relocate as heavy rain continues to pour.
Wabunge wetu mwambie wananchi wale wako kwa miteremko zaidi wasonge katika safer areas.
We have deployed our teams to coordinate together with other ministries, Ministry of Interior, to ensure that the families who have lost their loved ones, we can provide psychosocial support.
Of course, it's all hands on deck as the search and rescue mission still continues. We'll be bringing you up to speed with what is happening in as far as the Chesongoch mudslides are concerned in our subsequent bulletins. Now let's go to New York, where it was a historic day on the streets of New York City as the 2025 New York City Marathon produced one of the most dramatic finishes in the event's history and a powerful Kenyan showcase. Benson Kipruto edged out rivals in the closest men's elite finish ever, while Helen Obere led a commanding Kenyan podium in the women's race.
26.2 grueling miles across all 5 boroughs, the 2025 New York City Marathon came down to a heartbeat. Kenya's Benson Kipruto produced a breathtaking finish, surging at the tape to edge compatriot Alexander Motiso by just 1600ths of a second, the closest men's elite finish in the event's history. Both athletes were credited with the same official time of 2 hours, 8 minutes and 9 seconds, marking the first time a New York City Marathon elite race, men's or women's, has been decided by less than a second.
Potentially working against Sifan Hassan. She has no idea what's coming.
Right, she doesn't.
On the women's side, it was a Kenyan total dominance. Helen Obiri led a stunning Kenyan podium sweep and smashed a 22-year-old course record by more than 2 minutes, clocking 2 hours, 19 minutes and 51 seconds. The reigning Boston and New York champion reaffirmed her status as one of the world's greatest marathoners, combining tactical brilliance with raw endurance. From Kipruto's nail-biting sprint to Obiri's record-breaking run, the 2025 New York City Marathon will be remembered as a celebration of endurance, excellence, and Kenya's unshakable pride on the global stage.
Congratulations. I beg your pardon. Congratulations are in order for Kenyan marathoners and our runners for always making us proud. And away from that, President William Ruto concluded a 4-day working tour of Western Kenya counties with a pledge to equitable and inclusive development across the country. On Sunday, the president inspected the construction of the Kakamega Level 6 hospital, where he launched the role of community health promoters.
On his final day of developmental tour in Western Kenya, President William Ruto inspected the construction of Kakamega Level 6 hospital, lauding the current Governor Fernandez Barasa for continuing with projects initiated by his predecessor Wycliffe Oparanya and promised to support its completion.
Nimemweleza huyu ndugu yangu Barasa ya kwamba sasa hii hospitali kwa sababu ni kubwa aniwachie, inatoshana na mimi, nitengeneze, nimalize, ndio watu wa Kakamega wapate hospitali level 6.
The head of state also reiterated his commitment to implementing the universal health care and recognized the role played by the community health promoters.
Hatutaki afya iwe ni starehe ya watu matajiri na walio na pesa na walio na kazi. Tunataka afya kulingana na katiba ya Kenya iwe ni haki ya kila Mkenya. Awe na kazi, asiwe na kazi, awe na pesa, asiwe na kazi, maskini na tajiri, sisi wote.
Later, the head of state attended a church service at the African Divine Church at Gamalenga in Hamisi constituency, Vihiga County.
Kuna barabara zilikwama hapa, nimezikwamua zote. Kuna barabara mpya tulikubaliana na hawa viongozi, hizo barabara nimekuja kuzianzisha.
President Ruto promised to continue pursuing affirmative action policies to support regions of the country that have lagged in national development.
Kwa hivyo mimi nawauliza ndugu zangu watu wa hapa Vihiga, tumeweka mpango ya serikali. Hapa Vihiga tunataka tuwajengee nyumba 10,000 na nimekubaliana na hawa ndugu zetu waheshimiwa, tunataka kujenga ya kwanza hapa Hamisi 1,000.
Further, he outlined some of the projects the government is undertaking in Vihiga to raise living standards in the county.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has lauded the late former Prime Minister Raila Odinga for tapping into professionalism when building the Orange Democratic Movement Party. Gachagua says ODM has over the years boasted of having a crop of talented leaders within its ranks. The former DP says it is such ideals that he hopes to entrench within the Democracy for Citizens Party.
The honest man is tonight giving Raila Odinga and the ODM party their flowers. Rigathi Gachagua, who has toned down his criticism of the late former Prime Minister, says Raila Odinga had a knack for political talent.
As we mourn Raila Odinga, I must admit I admired two things about that old man.
And I'm really very touched by his leadership. Look at the political party that he built called ODM. A strong political party that though he has never been elected president, he is able to get into every government and get what he wants.
So please feel free, but not just feeling free. Take it as your duty, as your obligation, if only for one reason, to ensure that there's good governance in this country.
We cannot have a country go down the drain while we call ourselves professionals. And so I want to ask that election time, an election is not an event, it is a process.
Gachagua argues that the success of a nation depends on the capacity of its leaders.
But most importantly, his political party, all the legislators are top-notch lawyers. These are the people who have protected Raila Odinga for 30 years. If you look at Raila's team, James Orengo, Otieno Kajwang, late, Omolo Atiende, Karoli Omondi.
The former DP's remarks may have perhaps stemmed from the notion that the Mount Kenya region has, over the years, lowered the political yardstick when electing its leaders.
I want to urge that now prepare that the 55,000 polling stations in this country will be manned by, among others, lawyers, and particularly the young ones.
Come 2027, put up your spirited effort to become a member of parliament to come and defend the constitution of the day.
I want to propose that we need to create special case. LSK inafaa kuwa inaleta mtu bunge for free ili iweze kukua iko represented pale na inaweza kuangalia hizo masheria vizuri.
The United Opposition says it will guard the vote and give Kenyans the finest crop of leaders come 2027. This is the Orange Democratic Movement Party leadership, while in Magarini constituency, campaigning for the party candidate Harrison Kombe maintained that the party will retain its identity during the upcoming November by-elections, despite being in the broad-based government arrangement.
Sisi ni ODM, lakini candidate wetu Harry Kombe anaungwa mkono na chama zote za broad-based, ambaye hapa ni UDA na PA.
Tunamrudishia Kombe tikiti ya chama cha ODM, maanake tunamwamini kwa kazi ambayo anaweza kuwafanyia nyinyi kama wananchi wa Magarini. Hakukuwa na nomination tena, tulimpea direct ticket kuonyesha heshima ambaye tuko nayo kwenu na ile imani ambaye tuko nayo ya kwamba anaweza kufanya kazi hii.
The politicians spoke even as Kenyans were urged to shun divisive politics and embrace tribal diversity as a means to socio-economic prosperity.
Nina huzuni sana ya kwamba mpaka century ya saa hii kuna watu ambao ni viongozi katika taifa letu la Kenya, lakini kazi yao kila siku wamechukua fursa hiyo kueneza chuki, kueneza mgawanyiko.
Hiyo maneno ya mtandao watu wanaitumia na kuidhulumu. Kwa hiyo maneno ya TikTok, kuna pornography, let's avoid those things. They are demonic and it is harming our youth, and we must tell you because it's not advisable, it is not right, and we must condemn.
Gujiri said the Kenyan youth cannot afford to succumb to the vile rhetoric being advanced by politicians who are hell-bent on balkanizing the country ahead of the 2027 general election.
Range reporting there. To matters education, where pupils from the Learning Hub School in Malindi, Kilifi County, have taken the lead in combating beach pollution. Through their Eco Club, the learners have embarked on an ambitious project of installing plastic waste disposal bin bags along the stretch covering Watamu Beach and the Malindi Marine Park. The young environment champions are hopeful that this project will restore the beach to its long-lost glory of cleanliness, white sands, and turquoise waters. Take a look.
The beaches of Malindi in Kilifi County have in the past years been celebrated for their long stretches of white sandy shores, clear waters and a vibrant marine life. These qualities have played a critical role in boosting the county's economic gains through tourism. However, the once pristine beaches are staring at a problem that is threatening their identity. Pollution is fast becoming a problem, and if not addressed, there are fears that the repercussions may be irreversible. These young learners, members of the Eco Club at the Learning Hub School in Malindi, are determined to restore the coastline to its former glory. With the help of their tutors, they are constructing these eco-friendly plastic waste disposable bin bags to be placed along the coastline.
You can just throw the trash in and it will reduce at least the number of cases of maybe when trash gets into the ocean or maybe dirty environments, as we need to follow the SDG number 14, life underwater and life on land.
The idea for these bin bags was born from the realization that the absence of permanent waste bins rendered efforts done during the cleanups short-lived, necessitating a more sustainable response. Through a partnership with the Kenya Wildlife Service, local conservationists and the Malindi municipality, the Eco Club implemented this sustainable waste management model.
How we can help in conserving the environment is participating in multiple activities like creation of bins to help in, and like segregation bins to separate waste like paper waste, organic waste, plastic waste, inorganic materials as well.
And also we are sensitizing the community, creating community awareness so that it does not become an initiative of the school, but the community are also going to own up the project.
Despite the simplicity of their design, the bin bags carry an important message and collective responsibility, with members of the community being encouraged to use them. Authorities on their part ensure regular maintenance and proper transportation of the collected waste to recycling facilities.
Wakenya wote ambao wanatembea baharini kwamba wakitembea baharini wahakikishe kwamba plastiki ambao wanatumia kukunywa maji wamehifadhi vizuri, wasitupe ovyo ovyo. Wakipata hili chombo waweke hapa.
It's a simple tool but a very important tool, because with this then even the community can help in placing the waste materials that are used or that are found alongside the coastal shores.
Teachers at Learning Hub School say the project has evolved into a dynamic interdisciplinary learning experience. Learners not only study environmental patterns, but also sharpen their scientific reasoning, data analysis, communication, and report writing skills.
The aspect of mapping, getting the length of the beach and knowing where to place the bins, the photography of the beach area.
Hailed as a step towards the right direction, environmental conservationists say this initiative is more than just a school project. They say these youngsters are teaching the community a lesson in responsibility, innovation and creation of actionable solutions that will be beneficial in the long term.
We now head to Tanzania, where Tanzania's main opposition party, Chadema, has rejected the election results announced by the National Electoral Commission, where Samia Suluhu was declared the winner. The party, led by Tundu Lissu, who was charged with treason and locked out of the elections through its X account, says the results have no basis in reality, saying no genuine election took place in Tanzania.
The Electoral Commission said Samia Suluhu won 98% of the votes, nearly sweeping the 32 million ballots cast in Wednesday's election. International observers have expressed concern over the lack of transparency and widespread turmoil that has reportedly left hundreds of people dead and hundreds injured. The country witnessed a nationwide internet shutdown and a dusk to dawn curfew declared in a bid to quell the unrest that followed the elections. Samia Suluhu took power in 2021 after the death in office of her predecessor John Pombe Magufuli. Samia Suluhu is expected to be sworn into office in Dodoma for a second term.
And communities in Mandera County can now conduct peace-building initiatives more effectively after receiving motorbikes from Interpeace non-governmental organizations. Speaking during the handover event, Interpeace Program Director Mahat Omar said the donation is part of ongoing efforts to promote lasting peace and stability in Mandera through community-led interventions.
Hii ni ya mambo ya amani. Umepatiwa ili wewe unachunga na kufanya kazi ya amani. Wazee walituambia kila wakati tunataka gari, hatuna pikipiki, hatuna hii. Sasa tukasema acha tufanye bidii ili tuweze kuwapatia. Kila sehemu at least tumeweza gawanya na iweze kwenda.
Na bila amani sidhani kama tunaweza kuwa na hiyo maendeleo katika kaunti yetu. Kwa hivyo tuweke bidii kila mahali penye tuko, tuweke bidii na tuweza kuleta amani katika kaunti yetu.
Hawa wazee wetu ama hawa timu wetu wenye wamepewa pikipiki katika hizo corridors, hotspot corridors zile zimemenshoniwa, nataka kuwaambia mtumie hiyo resource mzuri sana. Kwa sababu tulisema local peace structures wako na challenges mingi sana ya funding, wanakuwa na shida na funding, na hiyo pia mambo na clan conflicts. So at least hata kama ni kidogo ya mobilization kidogo sasa imekuwa isen kidogo.
A look at sports now, where more than 20 coaches from Nairobi took part in the introductory coaching training held in Buruburu here in Nairobi. According to FKF Nairobi East Branch Chairman Dixon Doyle, the move is aimed at contributing to overall improvement of quality of football in the country if the knowledge gained is properly applied.
Coaching course ndo pia nijue venye naweza handle wachezaji huku nje. Juu naweza penda pia time na hang boots niweze kuwa na coach my young players wenye wanapokam. Makochi wengi huku nje wanafanya vitu just because walikuanga players, but sasa ukikam class unapata vitu tunadu si vitu unafaa kuona do mtaani. Nipo ukikam classes unapata kujua more zaidi about coaching course.
Nimelearn a lot more about football. Venye football naweza handle youth from under 5 to under 17. Na pia imenisaidia venye naweza plan my training, kuhandle training session.
Ni muhimu sana kwa wale watu ambao wanashikilia vijana wadogo kuwa na ile basic knowledge ya coaching. At least wanajua vitu zenye wanafaa wafanye wakiwa bado wachanga, kwa sababu wakianza kupata wakiwa wadogo, then ikifika katika kiwango fulani inakuwa wale watoto tayari wamepata ile knowledge, wanaweza practice zile vitu zenye walifunzwa kwa sababu walianza wakiwa mapema. Na hiyo itaweza kufanyika ikiwa wale wenye wanawashikilia pia wako na hiyo elimu yenye wanafaa kupitisha kwa watoto wetu wachanga.
The Leopards clawed their way to third place in the FKF Premier League after a convincing 2-0 victory over Mathare United at the Nyayo National Stadium. Second half goals from Vincent Mahiga and James Kinyanjui sealed the win for the 12-time champions, who stretched their unbeaten run to 6 league matches. The Islam boys made 3 changes from the side that faced Gor Mahia in their previous outing, but couldn't find a way past the resilient Leopards. Elsewhere, league leaders Kakamega Homeboys were held to a 1-1 draw by Tusker FC, while Gor Mahia also shared the spoils with Ulinzi Stars in a similar scoreline. Kenya Police and Posta Rangers battled to a goalless draw as Moranga Seal aged KCB 2-1. Bidco United settled for a 0-0 stalemate with APS Bomet. Homeboys remain top of the standings with 14 points, 1 clear of second place Gor Mahia.
Anaomba radhi James Kinyanjui, amevaa uzi wa Mathare United, lakini sasa anaomba radhi baada ya kuwafunga, baada ya kuchoma shule na vyeti vyote. Anaomba msamaha, lakini anasherehekea Freda Mbani.
Well, that's where we wrap up the news this morning. Thank you as always for your time and your company. My name is Maria Mo, and just about now we take a break, but Victor Lo will be back with the rest of Good Morning Kenya.